What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Friday, March 27th. These picks apply for the FanDuel simulated slates. And at the end of this video, I'll give you a few DraftKings picks for their simulated showdown slates. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, real quick for those who don't know how these simulated slates work on FanDuel, everything works the same. You build a full lineup using the players available in the slate. The only difference is the fantasy points each player scores is a fantasy score from any game that player has played so far this year. Only players with at least 15 games played are in the player pool. Pretty simple, they just take a score at random from previous games that player has played, and that's it. So knowing how that works, we've added some tools to Draft Dashboard so you can see all the possible outcomes of scores from each player, and we show the percent chance that the player has to score in each point range. So pretty handy. You can hover over the Sim Scores button and see right here exactly what scores this player can get for this contest. It will be one of these at random. And then you can see what percent chance they have to score in these point ranges. Okay, let's get into these picks. Okay guys, let's take a look at the point guard position. I like Lonzo Ball, projected at 33.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.3 times value. He's 6,300 FanDuel salary. And let's take a look at his sim scores. He has a 7% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. He has a 34% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. He has a 39% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points, and he has a 20% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So he has a 59% chance to score between 30 and 60 fantasy points and get you over 5 times value. So I like Lonzo Ball here at 6,300 FanDuel salary. Another point guard that I like here is Markelle Fultz, projected at 26.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's 5,100 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. Only a 6% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less, a 69% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. That's your value zone. And then he has a 22% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points, and a 3% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So there's not a lot of risk in this play, and he's got some nice upside with a 25% chance to score between 30 and 60 fantasy points and crush value. So I like Markelle Fultz here at 5,100 FanDuel salary. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Jrue Holiday, projected at 40.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 7,800 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. He has a 0% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. He has a 22% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. He has a 47% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points. He has a 25% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points, and he has a 5% chance to score 60 fantasy points or more. So he's got a 30% chance to score 45 plus fantasy points and hit value here. So I like Jrue Holiday here at 7,800 FanDuel salary. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $100 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won, and then we'll send you $100 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Another shooting guard that I like is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, projected at 35.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's 6,900 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. Only a 3% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. He has a 25% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points, a 57% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points, and a 14% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So you're looking at a 71% chance to score between 30 and 60 fantasy points. So I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here at 6,900 FanDuel salary. Okay, who do we have at the small forward position? I like Brandon Ingram, projected at 40.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.3 times value. He's 7,600 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. Only a 4% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. He has a 16% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. He has a 53% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points, a 26% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points, and a 2% chance to score 60 fantasy points or more. So a 28% chance to score 45 fantasy points or more and hit value or exceed value. So I like Brandon Ingram here at 7,600 FanDuel salary. Another guy that I like is Jonathan Isaac, projected at 32.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's 6,400 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. Only a 6% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less, a 44% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points, a 25% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points, and a 25% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So not a lot of low-end risk, but he's got a 50% chance to score 30 plus fantasy points tonight and hit value. So I like Jonathan Isaac here at 6,400 FanDuel salary. Okay, who do we have at the power forward position? I'm going to keep giving you guys this play every time he's on the slate until they change his price. I like Zion Williamson, projected at 36.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. He's only 6,600 FanDuel salary. And let's take a look at his sim scores. A 0% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. He has a 16% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. He has a 74% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points and an 11% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So this guy is a lock every time he's on the slate. I like Zion Williamson here at only 6,600 FanDuel salary. Another power forward that I like here is Aaron Gordon, projected at 31.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's 6,200 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. Only a 5% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less, a 41% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points, a 41% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points, that's your value zone, and then a 12% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So I like Aaron Gordon here at 6,200 FanDuel salary. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. So look guys, I know there's not a lot of sports playing right now, but we are posting a daily cheat sheet for esports for the League of Legends contests, and we just added these new DFS tools for the NBA simulated slates. We're going to be updating our tools to help you pick the best players for these sim sports, and I think these tools are going to give you a big advantage. There's no human element here. This is a stats game. This is a math problem. This is where our tools can really help you identify the numbers, the percent chance these players are going to score within these point ranges, so you know what you're getting into with each pick. I'm going to give you one more. This guy's a mid-range play. Christian Wood, projected at 25 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's 4,900 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. So he's got some low-end risk here. 28% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. A 32% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. That's your value zone. But then he's got a 30% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points and a 10% chance to crush value and score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So I think this guy's a decent play. So I like Christian Wood here at only 4,900 FanDuel salary. Okay, moving on to the center position. I like Derek Favors, projected at 27.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 5,200 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. A 13% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. A 53% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. A 27% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points. And a 7% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So he's at about 34% chance to get you 5 times value or more. So I like Derek Favors here at 5,200 FanDuel salary. And one of the studs at center position that I like is Clint Capella, projected at 38.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's 7,600 FanDuel salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. Only a 3% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. A 26% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. A 49% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points. A 21% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. And a 3% chance to score 60 fantasy points or more. So I like Clint Capella here at 7,600 FanDuel salary. Okay guys, let's take a quick look at the DraftKings showdown between Miami Heat and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the top value play on the slate is Jordan McLaughlin, projected at 18.5 fantasy points here tonight. That's 11.6 times value because it's only 1,600 DraftKings salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. So of course this is a risky play, but at only 1,600, he doesn't need much to get value. So he's got a 43% chance of scoring 15 fantasy points or less, a 40% chance of scoring 15 to 30 fantasy points. You take that all day long. Then he's got a 13% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points and a 3% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. So a 16% chance to score 30 plus fantasy points and break the slate. So I like Jordan McLaughlin as a killer value play here at only 1,600 DraftKings salary. So that value play is going to open up some salary for these obvious studs, but it's important to get the studs right. So I like Karl Anthony Towns, projected at 51.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's 10,800 DraftKings salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. A 0% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less. A 6% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points. A 20% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points. A 51% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points. And a 23% chance to score 60 fantasy points or more. So you got to get yourself some Karl Anthony Towns, especially with that McLaughlin value play. So I like Karl Anthony Towns here at 10,800 DraftKings salary. And another stud that you should get in your lineup here is Jimmy Butler, projected at 41.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.4 times value. He's 9,600 DraftKings salary. Let's take a look at his sim scores. Only a 4% chance to score 15 fantasy points or less, a 5% chance to score 15 to 30 fantasy points, a 55% chance to score 30 to 45 fantasy points, a 33% chance to score 45 to 60 fantasy points, and a 4% chance to score 60 fantasy points or more. So that's a 37% chance for him to score 45 to 60 plus fantasy points. So I like Jimmy Butler here at 9,600 DraftKings salary. Another guy that looks pretty similar here before I move on is Bam Adebayo. I'm not going to go through all these stats here, but he's only a couple $100 less than Butler. I think you could play either of these guys. Their sim scores look pretty similar. Just comparing them here. Yeah, it looks like Jimmy Butler is a little bit safer. So anyways, guys, these tools are really handy to be able to hover over the sim scores button. You know exactly what you're going to get, the percentages for each point range. So make sure to play the odds. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys here back tomorrow. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video, or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck. Okay guys, if you're getting any value from this video, please hit that red subscribe button. We put out new fantasy basketball videos every single day. So if you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell notification, you won't miss out on any of our new fantasy basketball and fantasy football videos. Tons of free stuff coming your way. It only takes a second, and it helps us push out more fantasy content for you guys to consume each and every day. It's because of you subscribers that make this possible. So thank you for supporting this channel. This is a quick reminder, you should be reading the comments of this video. We have some savvy basketball fans who watch these videos, and they often give great plays and call me out when my picks are wrong. Wisdom of the crowd is a great way to get a feel for what players the field likes in today's NBA slate. We also have a DFS tool that shows you what players our members like for today's slate, so you can come on in and check that out.